am here with Khalilah and Derek, the dynamic duo of many different companies where we'll learn a little bit more about. So you two, introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Yeah, well, I'm Khalilah Webster, and I'm the other half of this one here. and we started a business about what I would say about 12 years ago.
Why don't you start with time and purpose?
Okay, so absolutely. So I've always been an entrepreneur straight out of college. I went to Brooklyn College, and my first business venture that I started, it was a performing arts center in Brooklyn, in Canarsie, Brooklyn. My business partner and I at the time, we both graduated from LaGuardia High School for Performing Arts. And so our background was in the performing arts. And what we wanted to do was to bring the arts back into the communities that we grew up in. I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and she grew up in Canarsie. Even though I went to like elementary school and junior high school in Canarsie, Brooklyn, we wanted to start something that was going to be complimentary for the young people in our community. So I was pretty much the first entrepreneur in our family,
yeah.
And I started my business. But in 2009, when the economy kind of crashed and that whole big bubble burst, my business did not sustain itself. So we were in business for about 7 years. And unfortunately, we had to close down our business in 2009.
Yeah.
So that was a big blow for me, but it was something that I knew that I had to kind of go through in order for me to kind of see the silver lining on the other side. And the silver lining was this guy, which we were already married, and he pretty much encouraged me and was like, look, I need you to pick yourself up, because I was in a downward kind of path. I was feeling bad and feeling sorry for myself because I felt like I had failed at that business. But I realized that, every setback is a setup for a comeback. So it's not that I failed, I sort of failed forward into my next endeavor. So I think you can kind of take it from there.
Sure. So watching my wife at that time, I was gainfully employed and really marveling at the freedom that she had as an entrepreneur to really explore her creativity and really evolve as a leader. And I was enthralled with it. And during that same time that she was in business, I was leading a not-for-profit. I was really good at grant writing. I was managing several $1 million in funding. And when the market started to tank a little bit, that was, she really gave me the push to strike out on my own. So my first company with a group of partners, we had raised some private equity to do digital advertising, a completely different field that I was in at the time. But we picked up the cadence, we picked up the language, we knew that we had transferable capabilities into that space. And so we had a $250,000 runway, $1.45 million that was set up for us, all while she was in business. So I was like, we were going back and forth. We're like, I got some money, we got some funding, let's do this. We're going to be in business, we're going to take over the world. And then the market started to tank. And while she was going through that contraction in her business, our investors got spooked because they started seeing the housing market crash. They started seeing Lehman Brothers shed 11,000 jobs. And so they pulled our money off the table. So I then found myself, I went from being employed to unemployed in the span of 9 months. And so it was at that time where Khalilah still was in her business. I went back to work. We thought, given that her business was struggling and I was fresh out of work, that this was a great time to start having kids.
Yeah.
So we figured that out, that, hey, whatever, let's do it. And I'm pretty sure that's what people are doing now in this crisis. So,
I think so.
That's right. A lot of babies named Quarantina. And so we had our first son, and his name is Derek Jr. And it was a tough time because I went back to work as a public school teacher. Tried that as a day-to-day sub. I tried to get any kind of work that I could while she was working in her business. And the net of it was in 9 months after bouncing from job to job, I was finally laid off after a job that was close to 6 figures. The market was really, really bad. And I had a conversation with Khalilah said, what do you think I should do? Should I try one more time to get another job? Or should I go back and really try to start this business?
And me being, you know, a supportive wife, I was like, go ahead, babe. Go ahead, do your business. I want you to start something and be able to grow just like I had, you know, with my business. So I told him, I gave him the go.
That's a loaded statement.
It's a load. He says it's a loaded statement because once I said that, what was your thinking behind that?
I was like, man, I picked a rider. I picked the right one. And then I came to my senses. I'm like, no, she just gave you a time clock, bro. You got 30 days to figure this out before all that energy and all that cheerleading actually turns into the talk.
I love this story. It reminds me so much of my husband and I. He was the entrepreneur. I worked in corporate America for a very long time. And I remember during that time, he would always tell me, you know, you have an amazing career, but you should always have something else on the line. And I remember I was about 27 years old, and he says, set up your LLC. And I left it dormant for quite some time, but he was always there pushing me in the background. And for him too, just going through that journey that your partner went through. I mean, I lived it, I breathed it. I had to like reconcile sometimes, like, should I really be with an entrepreneur? But you know, it all paid off. And I look back, I love the journey and the closeness that we have become, and just watching us grow throughout that time. So it's extra special to hear you two talk, because it brings back fond memories. Some of it wasn't that fond, but it brings back some amazing memories, and it just makes, you know, where you all are right now just extremely beautiful and satisfying. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your business now. What are you all doing? What is your focus?
How do you want to do that?
Yeah, so right now we have multiple companies under an umbrella company. And the reason why we did that is because individually our companies focus on specific things. So we have Open Door Arts and Education Project, and which was the first one that we launched. That was back in 2009, like fully launched. I mean, Open Door, you started in 2002. But we fully launched it in 2009, 10. And Open Door Arts and Education Project is, it's a youth development organization.
I got a logo.
Oh, he has the logo.
There you go. Derek's prepared here.
And we go into school. We're contracted with the Department of Education. We go into schools and we pretty much find out where the gaps are, where the schools may need our assistance in. We bring in experts, which we pretty much know them as teaching artists, but we call them teaching experts because they are actually in the forefront. They're in the field of their expertise, and they come into the schools and they're able to facilitate programming. We offer technology programs, entrepreneurship program, arts, and media, and that is our core basis of our programming that we introduce to the schools. So we've worked with over the last, 10 years, we worked with over
15,000 students.
15,000 students across the 5 boroughs. And it's been really, really great developing the relationships with the principals and also with the faculty and the students. It's been really, really great, the journey thus far. So that's one of our companies.
Yeah, the umbrella is career and technical education. It's a gap that is we're seeing right now with a lot of students struggling to shift from in-person instruction to remote learning. And so we've been kind of training those skills for years and really beating that drumbeat, not just with the students, but also increasing the capabilities of the schools to support that kind of learning that we think is going to be 21st century. So that was the first company that we launched when we had that talk. I relaunched it, had the talk. I said, okay, that's the area that we'll go into, and we'll build that company out. And we were doing well, and then the market again shifted. And just like it did now, we've seen this before with schools closing. And so, our ability to work in that space created some challenges. And so we pivoted, and our pivot was to a second company Vanguard Digital, it is the company, it's really a mini digital agency with a focus on corporate and small business marketing services. We were able to kind of shift that and start working with the Department of Small Business Services, the SBA, and even our school partner, which is the New York Institute of Technology.
Yes.
And we've been providing entrepreneurial training services, digital advertising services for that audience for some time. And so that was the second company.
Right, that was the second company. Yeah. And if you notice, we talked about pivoting real quick. Derek mentioned pivoting. And, in this time, and I don't know if we were going to tie it in a little bit later, but this time is really crucial for individuals who are seeing some contraction with their business and what they should be looking for or doing in this particular time during COVID when they're not doing as much business as they would like to. So sometimes you may need to kind of like assess the market and kind of see exactly what's going on, the environment, what the economy is looking like, and you may want to kind of pivot or go into another direction with your business. So that's what we did back in 2009, 10.
Yeah, that was 2012, and we launched that. Right. Yeah. And then the third company is SBA Growth Accelerator. So we competed with hundreds of companies across the nation for the SBA Growth Accelerator program under President Obama's administration. We won. So we were one of 4 SBA growth centers. Thank you, in New York State. Our focus is on minority and women enterprise. So our target is to help get more minority and women founders, tech founders in that space, creating and innovating and ideating and then taking their ideas to market. And so a market like this one right now, we think is like a really rich environment to get people thinking about solving their problems. Right. And then leveraging technology, kind of how we are doing right now, leveraging technology to solve that problem and then commercialize it. So that's our sweet spot. That's what we've been doing. And the partnership with the school helps us really fill in a lot of gaps that we've seen with a lot of entrepreneurs. They don't have tech talent, that's 1. They don't have a community, that's 2. And they don't have access to expertise, and that's 3. And we're able to facilitate that through the accelerator. So with all these companies, now you can tell them about Infront.
Well, all of companies is pretty much under Infront Strategies, which is the umbrella company.
We had to get it organized. It was
it was a lot going on.
What I'm hearing is that you all have spent a lot of time on creating these LLCs.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to secure them. And, I always say, like, if you have an idea, you want to make sure, and Derek is also an advocate for that, make sure you secure your domain name, make sure you do your LLC and everything like that. But I also was in a point when I was like, okay, we have all these companies. We need to streamline it. We need to bring it all together, and we need to have like an umbrella corporation, a holding corp. So that's what we did, and that's the whole umbrella is
Infront Strategies. Yeah.
So,
and that one is the work that we do mainly with the government in particular. Right. So, like the collective expertise of all of these subsidiary firms helps inform our competency and our practice with Infront Strategies. So allows us to take moonshots, where all of our clients that we have right now, they've been our clients for many years. Yeah. Infront is our ability to kind of think bigger and go after larger clients. So,
yeah. That was amazing.
So you guys have started already segueing to the challenges that we're facing right now. Everybody knows around the world, we're all challenged with this crisis, this pandemic, COVID-19. You've already talked about some of the changes that's going on. Can you get a little bit more specific on how that has affected your business and what changes you've implemented? You've talked about working with schools. There are no more schools right now. It's distance learning. Yeah. So what has that experience been for you? Just go into that and let me know if there are any good things that have come out of such a bad situation.
Yeah, I mean, we had to downsize, our staff. We had to, so that was a major, it was a challenge, but it was something that needed to be done. There was no way that we were going to continue on in the next couple of months having the staff that we had. So unfortunately, we did have to downsize. We do have 2 part-time individuals that we've kept on to work with us. And but we had a lot of independent contractors that we had to let go, unfortunately, during this time. And because the Department of Education is no longer, we were helping and assisting principals to try to get their online platforms together. So when we say we had to pivot, that was one of the things. Normally, our services are actually in person, you know, student support services. So we go into the schools, we work with the schools and the students. But now that there wasn't the schools, we had to kind of think about other things, which we were already doing, but we had to kind of like pull that out the bag and say, hey, we are here to support you. We have experts that are trained in Google Suite, in technology platforms, and we will be able to help you during this process. So that's what we've done. Also, we've also been able to help with professional development as well, you know, trying to help the teachers as well get onto these platforms, because as you know, and I'm not too sure, you know, the education part of this, you know, they didn't really have that together. And so we actually went into this, teachers were confused, students were confused, everyone is like, okay, how do we do this? So we were able to support in that way as well. What else?
Yeah, I think you covered a lot of it. We shifted because there really wasn't a lot of work. What we are getting now is requests for online services to engage with students. So that's unique and new for us as well. Mm-hmm. We were already, as Khalilah mentioned, we have a technology infrastructure. That's something that I'm going to advocate for in everyone's business, to really think strategically around technology infrastructure. Now more than ever. Thankfully, we had those things in place. And so we just simply shifted the conversations around, okay, what can we do from online? So we're getting that kind of work right now, where they're asking us to contemplate online events for students. And so that's something that's new. We also, again, with the work that we do with SBS, we're doing a lot of things that a lot of businesses are doing. We're applying for the employee retention grants. We have every money that's out there, the money that's coming from the SBA, the money that's coming from SBS. My mindset is, in 2009, I didn't apply for anything, right? 2009, when Khalilah's business was struggling and I was fresh out of work, didn't apply for unemployment. I didn't apply for any disaster relief grants.
We didn't apply for anything because we just didn't know.
Our office on Wall Street got washed out at Sandy, and we didn't apply for it. You know what I mean?
We didn't know.
And so we often say in business, you pay for what you don't know, right? So what we're saying now is apply for everything. We went to there was a grant program yesterday, Save Small Business, that was sponsored by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And we went on, they said they were going to release the RFP at 3 o'clock. We went on at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock on the dot.
On the dot.
Crash.
Servers crashed.
Servers crashed.
They had so many people across the country trying to apply for these grants. And so now what we've done is we applied for everything. We continue to redevelop our business model in that space. But one of the things you also asked us is, what are the good things that this time is offering us? And I'm a big proponent of intellectual property. I think every company needs to focus on what is your thing. What is the thing that creates value for you without you having to show up to work every single day? And if it's a book, if it's a curriculum, if it's a web platform, it's an application, that's where you should be putting your focus in this time. And so we've been doing that. I'm really excited about the portfolio and cachet of products that we're going to have that has our name on it. It's ours. We own it. We run it. We're going to develop it, and it can extend our value in the marketplace without us having to be everywhere at once.
I was just on a live a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about, to women entrepreneurs, and everyone was saying, what should we be doing? This is preparation time. This is game time. If you have the time to invest in yourself and your business, this will be the time to do it. So if you have a book, you need to be writing a book. If you have, you know, some intellectual properties that you're trying to build and trying to get out, this is the time to do it. So then when we come out of this, the good side of everything will be like, you'll be prepared and you'll be ready to rock. So I think that that's important.
Preparation is key for every aspect of your life. I've also sat on a lot of Zoom calls in particular about funding, and it's really sad to hear, especially in New York, that a lot of small businesses did not get funding from the PPE. And so from what I'm hearing is that, you know, legislators are going back to Washington and that there may be another stimulus package that—
They just approved it.
They just
awesome. Right on time,
Yeah.
right? So some of the conversations that were coming from there is just like your relationship with your bank, your banker, making sure that you're on top of them 24/7. And for you to be able to say to your bankers, hey, my application has been in line. I need you to push that. We're not going to start over from the beginning. So it's really cultivating that relationship with your bankers to make them be aware that you're on top of things and you're holding them accountable too, right? Because it's not just going to go to these like multi-million-dollar companies. It's the small businesses in America that really keeps the economy really going. So, I wish you all well in that, and I hope that you get as many grants as possible.
Yes, thank you.
So let's kind of switch to a little bit more of, I call it the juicier topic. You all are a dynamic duo, and you're married and you are business partners. Share with us just a little bit of that dynamic and how you all make it work. And you have kids too, so that's even more complicated.
Two
kids. We have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old. We've been married. This July it will be 15 years. We'll be married. We've been together for about 18 years.
Yep. And
it's been a roller coaster, but it's been fun. It's been a journey. One thing that I always tell people is that, you know, to enjoy every little moment that happens. You know, sometimes we're so quick to kind of just like run through life. And sometimes we don't really take the time out to enjoy the little things. And I think with us is that because we're business partners, we were just talking about this the other day. We were saying like, we're always running, like because of our business. Derek, we have an office in the city. Derek is in the city. I'm in Brooklyn. I have meetings with schools. He has meetings. And it's like, we got to pick up the kids. And our everyday routine, if you would see it, it's like, it's crazy.
Organized chaos.
Disorganized chaos, right? And at its best, So, you know, just taking the time out, I think during this quarantine time, we realized how much we really do all together. And even with our kids, we all lean on one another. We're all supporting one another. Our kids are they're entrepreneurs as well. You know, they see mommy and daddy owning their own business, working, going to meetings. We take them to meetings. We had a huge meeting in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, you know, helping them build out their ecosystem, their entrepreneur ecosystem down there. And guess what? Our kids, they came down with us. They sat in all those meetings. So, and it's something about that, you know, it's something to be said about that. But we try to manage it as best as we possibly can without trying to like kill each other at the end of the day.
Oh my God, trust me, I am well aware of that.
We try, you know, but the thing is before the quarantine, and everyone would always ask this question, you know, how do you find the balance, right? And one thing I'm big on is like when we're at home and we're doing home stuff with kids and family, we want to be able to actually just disconnect ourselves from the business life and be able to be home, have the home life balance that we need. So that's important.
Khalilah is amazing.
I'm very adamant about that because it can get overwhelming, and I never want to kind of bring that energy into our home space.
So I'm the culprit. I can work 24/7 and not stop because I'm always thinking about
the husbands are always the culprit.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay?
There you go. Right. There's nothing wrong with him. Okay. He's just literally trying to win. I think I always tell Khalilah that from my perspective, and one of the things that's helped us is we've been open with our communication about what we need and what we're looking for, even in this partnership. And I've always told her my motivation. My motivation is I'm always thinking about securing our family. I want us to be able to take trips, build memories, send our kids to the schools that we want to send them to. And so I might take a few more moments to think about, an RFP that I want to respond to, what have you. I think I've been blessed to have Khalilah as a partner that will say, okay, enough is enough, and you got to put that down. And I think that I've been blessed with technology to hide a lot of the stuff that I'm doing while she's telling me to do it. So I'm still working, but I'm fully present, but there's things that I'm doing. So, we train a lot on how do we get entrepreneurs, a lot of sole props, a lot of self-employed people to find balance. Khalilah's not as big on technology. She finds other methods to do it. Her focus on self-care and taking the time to do it. I'm the multitasker, so I leverage technology. We talk about delegating, automating, and outsourcing. And so we just always are constantly thinking about and working with people based on strategies that we try to employ. Well, how do you find balance? How do you kind of get things continue to go and happen while still being present in the moment?
Right. You're the techie, and I'm more. My background is in broadcasting, journalism, and media. So I've been able to kind of step outside of this business unit that we have, and been able to kind of go into the media aspect of things as well, which has been really great. It's been really fun, and so I guess like that. You have your thing and I have mine, and we're able to kind of still bring it back together so that we can kind of build on what it is that.
And she gets annoyed with me because I'm like her biggest fan, and she's like, you're doing too much. I'm like, no, you need to do this red carpet. You need to get this interview. She's like, well, who's doing the interview? I'm like, listen, we're doing the interview. You're on the red carpet, but you're repping us.
I love being behind the scenes, like the media aspect of what I do. I love producing and creating content, and I just love how everything kind of comes together. So sometimes I don't want to always have to do the interviews and stuff, and I have a great young individuals, like people that are ready and willing to do it. So I try to put them on as much as possible.
They don't have her talent, so I keep telling her, here's the talent.
Derek is like your hype man. We all need a Derek in our lives, right?
I'm like Teddy Riley's people.
I don't know if you want to be Teddy Riley's people. I'm team babyface all the way right now.
I take babyface. Right.
So Khalilah, this question is really for you. So I followed your family a little bit, as you know, and I think you all are dynamic, and everyone seems to have some sort of special skill or gift. You're also a woman, and this is kind of a two-part question, just going back to the family dynamics. Do you think just being a woman and being able to multitask and think holistically, I'm really setting you up, Derek, right now, that has helped in creating the balance in your life? And also in terms of your family and just all of the things that you all are involved with, do you feel like you got that inspiration to be an entrepreneur through, either your mom, your dad, your sisters?
Yeah. So my dad, I will definitely attest that he was the one that is the encourager behind myself, my sisters, for us to kind of go after our dreams. And even though he had a 9-to-5, he was also an entrepreneur as well. He had little businesses here and there, and which was really great seeing growing up, because we didn't know anything about that. We knew that my dad, he was a basketball coach. He also was a special ed teacher, but we knew that he had all these other businesses that he was working on, he was doing. And my dad is a go-getter. So one thing that I can definitely say is that our entrepreneurial instincts and that spirit that comes within us is definitely from my dad. Now, my mom, she's the balancer. She's a great balancer, because she was the person that made sure that home was home. you know, that we had food on the table. She was always encouraging us, but she also provided that balance. So even though my dad worked a lot and he was always out there, he's a people's person, he knows almost everybody in the city. You know, my mom was the one that was like the rock that held everyone together, that made sure that we spend family time together and Christmases and trips and everything. So that healthy balance is definitely in me, and also in my sisters as well. And I think, you know, having this one here, we kind of have that same type of like unit as well as that I would see in my parents. So that was all of that together definitely made me the woman that I am today. And that's why I'm an advocate for having a healthy balance when it comes to your business and your life. And I speak about that all the time. It's so important that you're able to create that, because we can keep moving and shaking, but I want to make sure that during this process and being on this journey, that our kids are able to have that that dynamic as well, so that they're not, when they grow up, they're able to say, you know what, my mom and dad, they worked very hard in their business, but they also were able to take care of home and be able to spend the time that was needed with us as well. So
routines too.
yeah, absolutely. So
yeah, she keeps the kids moving like clockwork. It's amazing to see. I usually break the routines, but she's great at setting them and establishing.
Yeah,
I love how passionately you all talk about your kids. My husband always says that, you know, when you have a child, it's really important to be mindful of the things that you are doing, because they're always watching, and it really creates a mindset in them at a young age for what the future holds and what their possibilities are. So kudos for you doing that and being a strong Black family that's really running things right now. Derek, who are some of your inspiration? Who got you to where you are today?
Wow. I'd say it's interesting because I'm actually a fine artist. That's actually my education. I got my NFA at NYU and then Columbia. I went for some time. I'm used to working on my own, so it was difficult to find people that I could say really represented, you know, where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. I'm a man of deep faith. So I think in terms of my center, you know, I'm a follower of Christ, and I think his worldliness and his willingness to be empathetic to people is something that I try to always bring myself back to center, because I think in business you could separate, and this is something that I love about Khalilah too. I think you can separate a lot of the empathy and the emotions from business and be very rigid and very, you know, systematic, and sometimes that can be problematic in the long run. And so I think it's hard for me to do business without my faith. I also have some mentors, men that I've seen, personal mentors. Khalil's dad is one of my mentors. I actually was his colleague before he was my father-in-law. We actually taught in the same school together for 3 years.
How did that dating experience go?
It was funny. It was funny because the flips got switched real quick when I told him I was dating his daughter. But he was teaching in a public school. I was teaching in a public school. He was the OG. He was one of my mentors. And then he introduced me to other strong Black men that we really focused on community and really focused on family. And so I've always kept that as a part of my business, even as it's grown, that kind of focus on, even though I'm tech and we're flying all over the world and we're working in a global business, stay focused on community and stay focused on family. And lastly, I have a mentor who is amazing in business. He's exited several companies, and I've watched him. His name is R. Ohanian. I've watched him kind of his last company he just sold in January, I believe, for 160 million. And I always believe in peer level mentorship, which is horizontal, but also having a mentor, someone that's done what you want to accomplish
Yeah,
and
for
having
sure.
that in your life. And so he's done it all. He sold 4 companies. He's a deep man of faith, family man. And he lives, he's the life of the party. And that's how we want to be. We want to have those things. So I've been very intentional about surrounding myself with those kind of folks.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to switch to sharing is caring. Can you give us any inspiration for the folks that are watching, any business tips or anything that you would like to share that can help a new business or an established business continue to grow?
Sharing tips.
You're always sharing tips.
I know. I'm always sharing tips. So one thing I can definitely say that I think is really good, everyone is always looking for financial capital, which is important. You need that. But I am a firm believer in social capital. So, and that ties into like networking, but not only just networking, just to network, but literally looking at the people that you been able to develop a relationship with and seeing where the win-win can actually happen. So building up your social capital is so important. I think that that's more important. I've been able to do events, host events, put together all sorts of things. And it wasn't because I had all the money in the world to pay everybody, but it was just because I had a vision. I was passionate about my vision. And I was able to build relationships with individuals and people that were able to support me during that time. And we were able to take something that was so small and turn it into something so huge and big and had a great impact because of the relationships that I built over time. So one thing that I can say for a business owner is like, I understand that sometimes money is always an issue and whether or not you have the finances to do anything. But I always say is building goodwill and building up your social capital is way more valuable than money can ever be. So.
Yeah. I'll second that with, I have a book called Step Forward. Advancing your entrepreneurial mindset. I think what's helped us a lot is our mindset in this time as entrepreneurs. One of the things that we know entrepreneurs are going to be concerned about, we mentioned the PPE, is I've met a lot of entrepreneurs that are debt averse, risk averse, and this is one of those times where you got to really stretch yourself and step out of your comfort zone. We're all uncomfortable, all right? And so this is one of those times where working on your mindset as a business owner, and you can do that through books, tapes, watching podcasts, watching YouTube videos, but you've got to adopt a mindset that helps you adapt to the current reality. I think a lot of times when in 2009 we were blindsided because we didn't know that we were on a ship that was going down. It was like the Titanic, right? Everyone was kind of standing on the deck and talking amongst themselves, not realizing the ship is sinking. And now fast forward to 2020, we're much more prepared because we've adopted a mindset to look at what's happening and say, okay, let's not stay stagnant. Let's think about how do we innovate? How do we problem solve? Like Khalilah said, if we didn't reach out to people before, let's reach out to them now. Let's start building bridges. For me, and then also working on yourself, looking inwardly. We do fast track trainings. We run fast track for the city. And so we're used to working with entrepreneurs and not just building on their business concepts, but building them up as entrepreneurial leaders. So I think this is the time now for people to tune into podcasts and Zoom calls like yours to consume as much content, buy books, buy my book, buy other books that helps you really think about how do you become the type of leader that could sustain a business in this time. This is the real challenge, right? Navigating uncertain times, thinking about new business ideas, even in a downturn economy. That's where a lot of entrepreneurs take off as opposed to retract and fall back.
Because we're natural problem solvers. Entrepreneurs are natural problem solvers. So, we see a problem, we're ready to solve it. Yeah. So,
and this technical stuff like like I said, taking an online course, digitizing your business, thinking about talking to a CPA, getting a financial strategy, all those things. But the qualitative stuff that I think Khalilah and I are really keen on is like working on yourself and working on your mindset and building your relationships.
Yeah.
So what I heard was relationship is key, 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 key. Focusing mindset and even reinventing yourself during times like this is
Yes.
super important for all aspiring business, established business organizations at this time. So thank you all for joining us today. Please share with us, how can we connect with you? What are your favorite platforms to park at?
Well, nowadays I'm big on Instagram. So that's where the party is at. So they can follow me at KK Webster 23. I may change that soon, but it's been KK Webster 23 since 2012. And then they can also go to my website at KhalilahWebster.com if they want to set up a meeting, a consultation. I'll be able to do that as well on the website.
Yeah, and I need to get my Instagram followers up, so I'll second that. I'm at D Bernard Webster, D Bernard Webster on Instagram, and my website is dbernardwebster.com. And there you can find my book on Amazon. It's called Step Forward, an illustrated guide for advancing your entrepreneurial mindset.
Thank you so much for joining Business Talks with Jodia Vanel today. It was very inspiring to talk to you all, and I love you all. So I'll be in your business 24/7.
We love you too. We love you too. Thank you so much for having us. And thank you. We would love to continue to connect with you and work with you some way, somehow.
Of course. All righty.